Hi YouTube, welcome to my very first video of my brand new channel. You might be thinking, why the fuck are you starting a YouTube channel? You've got 250 followers on your health page and you're not a celeb. I want to talk about a really sensitive issue and I want to share my personal experience. I used to be a competitive swimmer for about 12 years of my life. I want to talk about how I suffered with the pressure of body image, how I suffered with my weight, and how that ended up resulting in me developing an eating disorder for about 3 years of my swimming career. And this is coming from a perspective of someone that didn't quite make it. So any research that I've ever done online about like the females in competitive sport and coping with eating disorders and mental issues and anything, every single part of research that I've found, to be honest, has come from a success story. So it's usually been like an Olympic champion is telling you their struggles and how they overcame all their struggles, and it's amazing because they ended up winning and everyone was so happy because they won. My story didn't result in the childhood dream, so to speak. I didn't get to the Olympics. I didn't pursue quite to the potential that I thought I was going to when I was young, and at one point it was time to walk away, and that it's okay to walk away. Who you are isn't what you achieved. Anyways, having said all that, I want to just dive right in and explain where it all began, what I went through, etc, etc. When I was 10 years old, I got into competitive swimming properly, so I learned how to swim before that. And when I was 11, I competed at my first ever national championships. When I was 12 years old, I was actually 5-time national champion, so I was like loving life. I thought, this is it, like I'm gonna be a swimmer, I'm gonna be the next Olympian, like life is good. But I was training 10 times a week, so that's like before school and after school. When I was 13, I ended up moving clubs because my parents couldn't travel far enough, and it turned out that I was put into the top squad because of my performances, but I was 2 years below the next person in the squad, so I was quite like a baby. I was the baby of the group. It was quite cute, like I enjoyed being the baby of the group, like people took care of me. But this is when I was introduced to the importance of the scales in sport. So every Monday morning we were lined up and there was a sheet of paper with all of our names on them, and there was all of the dates at the top, so week beginning, blah blah blah, and you had to step on the scales, write your weight down and record it, and so that meant that everyone could see your weight. We weren't quite sure what we were trying to achieve, we were just weighed, so like I wasn't sure why I was being weighed or like what the goal was. So when I was 14, I'd started to be weighed, and I remember being about 65 to 67 kilograms. So it's important I tell you that. I'll pop it here. Remember, big bold letters, 65 to 67 kilograms at 14. It's important I tell you that because of what's to come down the line. And I ended up when I was 14, I made my first ever international team. So I was competing for Great Britain, and I competed at the European Junior Championships, which is like a junior based competition, and it was amazing. I remember the kit arriving at my house. They give you like £2,000 worth of kit, like anything you could possibly need. I'm pretty sure we got skirts, and like you don't need a skirt, like a fucking blue skirt with Team GB written on it, but absolutely thought Christmas Day had come earlier. It was the best day of my life, honestly. So I remember competing, and it was a bit of a whirlwind. It was so pressurizing. Everyone was scared to go and speak to our parents because we weren't allowed. It was a big learning experience. So that September I turned 15. Now when I turned 15 I went on the pill. Not because I was sleeping around, because not that that's a problem, like do what you want, 15-year-olds, like go for it if you want. But I was massive virgin, not gonna lie, so that was definitely not the purpose for me. I actually was just on it to like regulate my periods, because between the September of 2010 and the March of 2011, I ended up gaining a few kilograms, and I was about 71 kilograms. And like it makes me sad that I remember these weights, but like I really do remember the weights, and I remember the importance of the weights. But I was 71 kilograms in the March of 2011. I remember going to compete at Champs, which is the European Junior qualifier, so the second European Junior. I was not feeling good about myself whatsoever. So obviously I was fully aware that I'd gained 4 or 5 kilograms. I was just being told like you're not at your race weight, or you've put on a bit of weight. I was put on extra cardio sessions, which is ridiculous I think now looking back, considering I was at the time training like 10 sessions in the pool, 10 2-hour swimming sessions. Like swimming is the best cardio you can do, I think. And I was training like 20 hours of it, and I was put on extra cardio, so I was like put on the bike to lose weight. Like it was all just like very negative around like being 71 kilograms, instead of being like, oh Phoebe, like maybe you've gained a bit of muscle, you're going to be a bit stronger. It was, fuck, you've gained a few kilograms, like you're going to sink in the pool if you attempt to do a backstroke, which is what I thought. So I arrived at Champs and that was the only thing on my mind. Walking by and they've got like a shredded six-pack, I'm thinking, fucking hell, they're gonna beat me. They've got a six-pack, like obviously they're gonna beat me. So I was really not in a good headspace at that point. I would stand behind the blocks and I'd think, fuck, I'm about to race on 71 kilograms, like this is awful. I can't race, like. So I ended up not doing very well in the longer distance event, because I thought I'm gonna sink, like I'm not fit enough, I've put on too much weight. And we got home and my coach talked to me, my parents talked to me. It was time to all come together, devise a plan for how Phoebe can get to her race weight for the summer. Because in the summer I had European Juniors coming up and I had Youth Commonwealth Games coming up, and it was very important that I get back down to about 65 kilograms apparently. I was 15, all my friends were eating cookies, and like Pont High, my high school, had the fucking best cookies I've ever known. Like me and my friend used to go and like buy them every lunchtime. Like even though I was on this restrictive diet, I was like, I need a cookie. I used to be in this quite tough battling mindset with myself. So I was constantly under pressure, more so with food than anything else. Pressure is all I felt. It was like everyone was just like around me, like screaming like, eat less, don't eat that, like fucking get a grip. And I was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like I'm already training really hard and like all I want to do is like eat a bag of chocolate. So I used to go along to the shop and buy like packets of custard creams, chocolate, like I was the worst. So I used to want to have more sleepovers at this point, but never at my house. I used to want to always see my friends, like, oh my god, let's have a sleepover, because I knew sleepover equals takeaway and chocolate and sweets and crisps and everything like that. I was like, oh my god, I can go to someone's house who's normal and whose parents feed them chocolate. This is so amazing. So I really wanted sleepovers with my friends. Actually ended up losing the weight, weirdly, and I got down to about 65 kilograms for the end of that summer. Now, I've always thought, like ever since then, that proves that 65 kilograms equals fast swimming. Now I look at it and think that proves that not being so caught up about my weight and being happy and content in my own skin equals fast swimming. So because my mind was at ease, I was like, oh, it was like a relief. I was like, oh, I'm 65 kilograms, it's amazing, it's amazing. I'm going to be able to perform well. Now, unfortunately, this is where I hold my hands up and say that the pressure of maintaining 65 kilograms and everything like that, and just the way that this build-up had been going about like how I felt and binging, etc., led to me developing bulimia. So if you've ever heard of bulimia, it's obviously where you overeat and you make yourself throw up. So I honestly, like hand on heart, like never thought I had a problem, because I always thought I was fully in control of it. I thought, well, this is something that I choose to do, and it's not. I thought bulimic people used to throw up absolutely everything that they ate. So if they ate breakfast, they'd throw it up, lunch, they'd throw it up, whereas that wasn't what I was doing. What I was doing was throwing up anything bad that I'd ever eat, or anything whenever I binged. So basically, that's not how your body works. If you throw up, you don't choose what you throw up. I thought, oh, I just ate ice cream, I'm going to throw up the ice cream, like then I'll be good and everything else in my body will be fine. That is not how your body works. Your insides can't cope with it. It's so bad for you, like honestly, it's so bad for you. And I just really thought, if I eat a cookie after lunch and I throw up the cookie, then I didn't eat the cookie. And that is how naive I was. All of this happened around GCSEs, and I did well at my GCSEs, everything was good, and coach was retiring from City of Newcastle. Some teammates were like, well, you're at that age where you're competing for Great Britain and you're doing really well, and we would be silly not to invest in you as an athlete. They did to send me to Plymouth College. If you've ever heard of Plymouth College, it's one of those boarding schools. It's basically the same as Millfield. Swimming club called Plymouth Leander, which at the time had a girl who was like an Olympic champion in 2012. Like, so it had huge recognition, and everyone wanted to go to Plymouth because they thought, if I go to Plymouth, I'm going to become as fast as Ruta and all my problems will be solved. So that's what I thought as well. And so there I was, starting my A-levels in the September of 2012 at Plymouth College. So I lived in a boarding house. In this boarding house, there was 50 people lived in the boarding house. There was a girls' floor at the top and a boys' floor at the bottom. This floor, we were separated by an alarm door. So it was kind of like prison, but a lot more fun because everyone was away from the parents and everyone was young. So it was kind of like a bit of a free-for-all is how I would best describe it. So I thrived in my first 3 months, absolutely thriving. Met some good friends and slowly started to get a little bit wrapped up in, again, what I looked like, what I weighed, what my parents would be thinking when I went home, what my coach thought of me, whether I was going to succeed. And my problem got worse and my mental health got worse and my self-confidence got lower. I was so wrapped up in like what everyone else was eating that it just became, it consumed me, absolutely consumed. I would always feel inferior to everyone, and it's ridiculous because I'm pretty sure that there were probably a lot of people that felt the same way, and I never thought that anyone felt the same way. I thought, I'm not as good as you because of this, and oh, I need to eat more like you because you're better than me, or oh, you're eating right, I'm eating wrong. And every choice I made in my own head seemed to be the wrong choice because it was me making it. And it was that mentality that I took through my years at Plymouth. I actually never went to see anyone about it because I never ever thought I had a problem. But like looking back, I really wish I had. And if anyone is suffering with the same things as I did, then I highly recommend talking to somebody about it. This is worth a mention. I got my first boyfriend in Plymouth and it was quite an intense relationship. So it was quite unhealthy and a little bit toxic, and we were both young, we were both under a lot of pressure, and we were both away from home. So it didn't end well. So I was dealing with that, as well as having an eating disorder, as well as not performing. And then on top of that, I got injured. And on top of that, I broke my wrist. So as you can imagine, didn't improve in the swimming sense there. Ended up quitting swimming, actually, in my like A-level year. So it was my second year being there. It was the February,